Hey everybody, hi. So I'm going live on multiple platforms right now. Just want to say happy Tuesday, terrific Tuesday. Today's going to be an amazing day. And for those of you who are trying to just figure out, getting ready for the holiday season and, just everything else, um, I tip my hat off to you. For those of us who are experiencing grief of loved ones, my prayers are with you. Just recently lost my grandmother a couple of weeks ago, so definitely it's going to be a different season during the holiday season, and just know that you are not alone. So we're streaming again from Instagram, Facebook. We're on LinkedIn, and today what we're going to be talking about. Hi, hey Melissa, haven't seen you in a long time. How's it going, sis? Hope all is well. Hope all is well with you. I was thinking about you the other day. So this is pretty much like mini webinars, more or less. And what I really want to talk about today is a lot of times how execution is really impacting us in our business or anything that we are desiring to do. Yes, and how that impacts us when we plan. We have done a great job with the planning. We have done a great job with the execution. We have done a great job with the planning. We've done a great job of putting everything on the right sheet of paper in the right tool set. But when it comes to execution, it always falls short. So I'm doing a two-part series today. That today we're going to talk about just why that happens, and then tomorrow I'm going to give you some tools. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Uche Maple. I'm a leadership and business strategist. My claim to fame is that I retired at the age of 44 from corporate America after 22 years of being in the workplace. And as a result of that, one of the biggest things that I saw was that we are depending on that 9 to 5 to be our safeguard. And I got to be honest with you, if I had not started my business at least 2 to 3 years prior and investing properly, I would not have been able to leave the workspace in the way that I did. One of the biggest things was I knew immediately, because of just being overworked, burnt out, that I knew that it was time for me to transition to my next, right? How many of you right now understands what it means to transition to your next, and to transition to your next without it being ill-gotten, being upset, but just knowing that this time right now has come to an end. I've done everything that I needed to do in this space, and it's time for me to go to my next. For those of you understand what I'm saying, type in, put in the comments, yes, yes, I understand, or hey, an amen. Okay, if you understand what I'm saying. One of the biggest things I will say this is that when I decided to leave the workplace, I knew a year prior that it was time for me, but I was being resistant to change. I was afraid to change. I didn't know what was next, and I was allowing fear to dictate my decision, and which was causing me more angst and more anxiety and more burnt out, that I ended up in the hospital. And I knew in that moment there that it was time for me to listen, to just listen to what my body is saying, to listen to what life is saying, and to really listen to the questions that I have been asking that has been given to me. Right? Oftentimes, when we ask for things and it is given, we are resistant to the shift that we've asked for. So in this season that we have, a couple of days left for this year, I want you to just be mindful of what you have asked the universe to give you. And that when it comes to you, I want you to be uncomfortable with understanding that answer, and to move. And to move, right? Because oftentimes what happens is that we don't move. And because we don't move, we lose the opportunity. The early bird catches the worm. So I'm going to encourage you that while you are maybe sitting in an abyss of chaos, sitting in an abyss of confusion, don't allow that confusion to take over you, but to make a decision. Because when you don't make a decision, you're making a decision to not make a decision. So therefore, you are making a decision. Yes. So to move, I want you to move. Thank you. I definitely appreciate that. I want you to move because you've asked the universe to answer a question for you, and I want you to do it. All right, so let's go on going into the mini class real quick. Uh, the purpose here today, what we're going to talk about is why is execution really killing a lot of entrepreneurs when they start off right. You are gun ho, you are excited, you have all these amazing ideas, you've put together a strategy in place. You got all the tools, but when it comes time to actually execute, especially when you're launching your business, can you imagine? Imagine this. You're about to launch your business, right? You have everything that you planned in place. You have it in the right tools. You know what you want to do, but you fall short. And you're trying to understand, well, what happened here? Why did I fall short? I did everything by the book. But my execution is what faltered, right? It wasn't complete. It was, I made mistakes or I just didn't execute. So here are a couple of things on why this happens. For those of you who don't know, I have been in the engineering field for the last 22 years. And one of my superpowers is to be a great executioner, meaning I'm an overachiever. So when it comes time and then the fact that I've been a project manager and a program manager for years, when it comes for execution, this is my thing. If there was something that needed to be done, they knew that they can come to Uche. She was going to get it done in the fastest way, most qualitative way possible, and she will not afford any shortcuts that's going to hinder the performance of the product. Yes, yes. Okay, so here are a couple of things on why execution falters or fails for us when as entrepreneurs. As entrepreneurs, let me be clear, as entrepreneurs, because this is something that we're doing differently than what we do at work. Okay, you could be a high performer at work, but in your business, you could be a low performer in terms of executing, and you probably don't understand why. So here are a couple of reasons why. The first reason is that you're not mentally prepared. When you're in the workplace, you have all the systems set up for you to succeed. And if they're not, someone has something there for you, right? So you got the project management tools. You probably got the person who can do the social media graphics, right? Who can market the information. You have a place where you can get reminders. You may even have an administrator working for you. But when you are shifting to the entrepreneur space, what happens is that we have this grandiose strategy, but it does not match mentally what we need to do. And you do become mentally exhausted. And when you're trying to execute, you're wondering why you're faltering. You're wondering why I can't keep up. You're going to bed at night because you're the only one. You're the only one. And you may have hired someone to come in and help you, but they are not in the same industry as you. So now you have to have more eyes on what you're executing to make sure what's going out actually matches what you want to go out there, sending the right message. So that mental exhaustion takes place there, especially if you've never done it before in your own business. Let me say this, I can definitely testify to this. Okay. When I was launching my first product in 2019, in 2020, I had my first. This is on my own platform, not the company's, my own. I did a live workshop out of state, back in my hometown, mind you, and I was depending on family members. But I got to be honest, I was mentally exhausted. I really didn't know how to market the event. Like, I had a plan and strategy on how to do it, but I didn't know how to do it in a way that was going to attract the right people. I knew that I had on the plan that we was going to go to the radio station and interview on a radio station, but I didn't do that at all, right? Knew to put it in the newspaper, the local newspaper, but I didn't do that at all. Knew I needed to do a press kit, right? But I didn't do that at all because I was not mentally prepared. I was used to delegating and making sure that was going to get done. But because of lack of resources, didn't hire the right people, I was mentally exhausted, and therefore it was a lot of things that I didn't implement. So you got to be mentally prepared when you are launching your business or doing anything. Strategy may be sound, but if you're not mentally prepared to know and understand that this can be exhausting to you, right? That is one of the reasons why we have a lack of execution. The second thing is your strategy is more than your resources. My strategy was grand. You couldn't tell me nothing. I had everything in there, what I needed to do. But I forgot. I didn't have the resources. I didn't think about it because I'm so used to working in an automatic way where I can delegate where I needed to delegate, right? When I was working, but when I was doing my own business, I was not prepared. Let me say this. When you start your own business, you're going to have the most humbling, matter of fact, come to Jesus meeting that you've ever had before. Not only is it going to stretch you, but your personal development, your leadership development, your people development, and how you communicate, it's like you're having to start over because you're learning skills in a different way for your own business. So the second thing was that my strategy didn't match the resources that I needed to execute effectively. So you got to make sure, you got to be realistic. When I have this strategy here, does it match the resources that I have? Because if it does not, you're going to fall short. And some of those things that you want to do, you won't be able to do, which can therefore look like you're not consistent. And you want to make sure that you are consistent so that you're building a brand that people can depend on, right? We talk about this know, like, and trust factor, right? So we want to make sure we're constantly doing that. The third thing is you can definitely lose your confidence and say, what the heck am I doing? You can lose the confidence because you're like, oh my gosh, I got to do all these things, especially if you're not in tune with the tools that you need, right? If you need a stream, what are the tools that you need to stream with? Who can make the graphics in a quality way? Oh my gosh, I got to create audio. What do you mean? I got to have a mic. I got to have lights. So it can be very daunting. And you're having to do this on a constant basis, right? So you have a tendency to lose confidence. And here's the thing, when you lose confidence, that losing confidence is going to impact the execution. You get paralysis by analysis. Have you heard that? Which paralysis by analysis, which is mean that you continue analyzing why I didn't get a chance to do this, and therefore you lose your confidence. That's what can happen when you are trying to execute and you're having difficulty doing so. The fourth thing is that you didn't create a support system around you. The biggest thing is that you need to have a support system. When I was launching for Women's History Month, it was a huge event, and I planned for 6 months. And each month leading up to it, I will bring in different guests, right? Because it's leading into the anticipation of the biggest, at the end of the month, the Graham, who we got coming up. But I didn't have a support system. And when I say support system, I mean, I didn't have anyone to talk to when I was losing faith in myself, when we would have hiccups, when things would happen. Listen, things were happening where I remember we had asked someone to come on, someone very senior level at a different company, potential client for the business. And we emailed her and she responded back, but it went to spam. And she had called the CEO of the company. And He was like, what happened here? She said that she's supposed to come here and you got, I mean, it was a big thing. And he wanted names. Okay. Let me say this. I had no one to confide in except my husband. I was coming home stressed out, like, oh my gosh, I'm about to get fired. This is what's happening. So you need a support system when you are when you're about to launch something or do a major event, because you're going to have hiccups, and you need to make sure that it is a trustworthy environment where they're allowing you to fail safely and they are picking you up after you poured out all your tears to let you know that you need to keep going. And that is one of the biggest things that I believe that as entrepreneurs, especially when you're working, that you definitely need someone to be your support system, because you're going to be launching. Listen, you got some e-commerce products, right? You may want to do live events. You may want to, you might want to sell, you might want to go to these fairs where you're selling your physical products at these festivals. You got a book that you want to sell. You might have a speaking engagement. All of that constitutes to have a support system, especially if you're doing something that you've never done before, right? Because we are becoming someone we've never been. So we're having to do things we've never done. Yes, yes. And we need to be around people who understand that so that they can lift us up, because no one is a harder critic on ourselves than ourselves, right? We will beat ourselves down. So we want to make sure that we have people there who can support us and help us and guide us and nurture us and comfort us while we are trying to execute with the business strategy. Does that make sense, everyone? Yes, yes. You know, I can't see your comments. So for those of you who are on Instagram, thank you for joining me. For those of you who are on the other platforms, thank you for joining me. Please put your comments in the field as well. The fifth thing is that you don't have any systems in place. You're doing everything manual. You don't have anything automated, and you want to make sure your life is very easy. You want to keep your life very simple. So automate where you can and use those tools as much as you can. The thing is, the reality is, right, because as entrepreneurs, we have a small budget. As small business owners, we don't have a big budget as the major companies do, where they can play around. They can bring in a tool, try it out for a day. They got such a huge budget. But we want to make sure that we can automate our systems so that our processes and when we're executing, it makes it easier for us. It is difficult to do everything manual. Let's just say, for example, if you're doing online social media posts, you don't want to have to go out there and do that every day. Listen, I was doing it every day. Unrealistic, because I was not planning appropriately. This is when I first started in 2019. Didn't know what I was doing. It was very difficult. However, when you know more, you move differently. So now you want to make sure that you have systems in place. And the last thing is we have a tendency to overcomplicate everything. You hear me? We have a tendency to overcomplicate everything in every way because someone said to do it this way. Here is what I'm going to tell you. And I feel like I can say this because I've invested in a lot of programs. I've invested in a lot of people's products, in a lot of coaching. When you take all of that stuff that people have given you, you're going to end up working with what makes sense for you. Okay? Yes, you're going to do what they say at first. Maybe, maybe not. I like to do it to see if it works, right? I like to get the foundation set to make sure I can understand it, right? But then you're going to have to move out on what makes sense for you and your audience and your business, the culture that you want. You don't have to overcomplicate anything at all. As a matter of fact, the simpler and more streamlined the process is, the better it is. We used to streamline. As an engineer, you want to streamline what you can, because some things are just very complicated. Yes. And you don't want to miss that because the quality of it will go down. but things that we can streamline, especially the processes, customer experience, how you onboard a person, how they register for your event, how when they meet you, how they can buy your product. You want to make that as easy as possible because those are the things that you can streamline. Yes? Use what you have where you can so that you don't make it overcomplicated. Um, I know that when I came into the coaching space, because I'm a leadership development strategist and I'm a business coach, love it. Absolutely love it. I made everything very complicated. And the reason why I believe I made it complicated because in my mind, I was like, it's too easy. This doesn't make sense. It has to be more. No, it doesn't. When you grasp something very quickly, and if you can use it and it makes sense, do that. And that's with anything that you do. You just want to make sure that you can execute in a way that is in alignment with what your clients want, that's in alignment with what your culture, who you are, what makes sense. Don't overcomplicate anything just because someone says to do it. Yes, yes. Okay, so those are some of the reasons why I believe a lot of people have difficulty executing in their business, or for some of the reasons that I stated before. So tomorrow for part two, we're going to talk about. I'm going to give you five key five key things on what you can do to make sure that you're positioning yourself for success when you are executing a strategy of your business. And speaking of that, at the end of this month, I am hosting a 3-day workshop on how to launch your business in 30 days. Again, I'm talking about simplification. Um, and again, this is assuming that you already have a product, right? But we want to launch it in 30 days. And we're going to, for 3 days, and you have the option to upgrade to VIP for an exclusive training on the third day. Um, is to really help people who want to start a business to really get out there and jump and leap forward. A lot of times is that we are hesitant because it can be overwhelming. Let me tell you, it is overwhelming. But once you reach and leap, it is probably one of the most rewarding things you've ever done because you find a part of yourself that has always been there, but for whatever reason has become dormant. And it's another way of empowerment. There's something empowering when you are creating and executing your own thing. It builds you up. And for those of you who are who are working full-time jobs that don't feel valued, that feel like you're not getting paid what you're worth, who don't feel as if you're being seen or heard, I understand. But when I started my business, do you know that I gained an empowerment that was never there before. And to be honest with you, I actually was able to communicate um, to the people who were in the business, in the finances, in a way that I had never done before because I was learning what it means to do business development, right? I was learning what it meant to be more strategic. Even though I was doing it, but it was a different way. It was learning about it in a different way. So this I was able to learn how to do that, and I'm excited about it because it increased my stock. Okay, it increases your stock. It increases your value. The more you learn, the more you earn. And you have to learn faster than what you're teaching or preaching. Yes, yes. And selling. Yes, yes. Yes, yes. All right. So join me tomorrow for part two. Make sure, and for those of you on LinkedIn, go to my bio and register for the 3-day workshop on how to launch your business in 30 days. For those of you who are following me on LinkedIn, if you go to my profile, you will see, hey, Rockman, thank you very much. Definitely appreciate that. For those of you who are on LinkedIn, definitely go and you can go to my page and you can see the link there. And for those of you who are watching me on YouTube and Facebook, you can definitely go and watch, see it in the link as well. I'll be putting that in the link. So everyone, thank you. Join me tomorrow for part 2 on the 5 key things you need on how to execute in your business without being overwhelmed and while you're working a full-time job. Have a good one, everyone. This is Uche Maple, leadership and business strategist, and I'm out. Bye.